So again, good night, good night, good night, everyone. Who is on? Who is on? Who is on? Good night, good night, good night. Don't be rude. Say good night back. Awesome. Good night, Jan. Good night, Sade. Good night, Sherry. Who else is on? Good night, Pam. Good night, Lamar. Ryan. Good night. Who else is on? Who else is on? Nicholas. Good night. Jamila. Good night. Sharika. Good night. Excellent, excellent. So, like I mentioned, share the link with your teams. Everyone that needs trading broken down for them, please to share the link. Like I said, tonight we're going to be starting the 8-week boot camp, and tonight I actually start with support and resistance, right? So I want you guys to be taking as much notes as possible, right? The first thing that I really want to stress on is that support and resistance is basically us boxing in the market, right? So I want you guys to remember that, because you will see it playing out every single time we try to decide whether or not we would have bought or sold the market. So support and resistance is us boxing the market in, right? So what we want to do is that we want to wait for the trade to park, right? We want it to park so you're not drawing support and resistance in an impulsive move. By impulsive, I mean a strong move to either the upside or the downside. You're basically boxing in price when it has parked, right? And now we can see it actually moving sideways, right? So I hope you guys are making notes, because I'm going to go ahead now to the chart. I'm going to try to keep it short tonight so that the replay that I would post on YouTube will be sweet and simple, but also short, that you can duplicate it to your teams going forward. All right. So let me just get that screen up. Excellent. Good. So, like I said, please ensure that you are making as much notes as possible. I don't want to stress that anymore, but please make sure that you're taking notes. So guys, we're looking at support and resistance, right? And we know that support and resistance represents a ceiling or a floor, right? So why we want to focus on support and resistance is because it allows us to box price in, right? So what we're waiting for is price to park. So let's say, for example, we want to wait for the trade to park. So if we were looking at this area here, and we were looking at this area here, so we're focusing on just here where we can see that the move has parked, and now we are basically sideways, right? So let me see what the chat is saying. So I know I have some music on. Good night. All right, good. So we're waiting for price to park, right? And I want you guys to pay close attention here. Let me just zoom in here so that we can focus on this part. Right, so this is what we're looking at. And as I mentioned, that resistance is the ceiling and support is the floor. And what we want to do is that we want to wait for price to park first. So let's say, for example, you were watching this trade here, and you can see that it's going up, and obviously it's making higher highs. By higher highs, I mean that every time it parks, the trade continues to break out, part, and continue to break out again. So what you want to see is now the trade start to pull back, right? And really analyze the area that the trade is bouncing to and fro from. right? So you can see that we have a bounce here and it came back and it bounced here before it went up again, right? And the whole idea is that we want to make sure that we have price trapped, right? And once you have it trapped, it's easier for you to trade. So I don't know who on this call watches Kimberly Torres, right? I noticed that Kimberly and Luke, they tend to trade the breakout of an area. And if you can master support and resistance, then something as simple as their strategy you can trade, because you're just trading based on breakout candles, right? So once you've trapped the market, you can then decide, okay, you know what? I want to make trading simple for me. So I am just going to wait for either side to have a strong body candle breakout. So for example, you guys can see that we have a strong body candle breakout here. And as soon as this candle closes, then you can say, okay, now I have my move to the upside. I can enter for my buy, right? And that's the beauty about just understanding support and resistance, right? So what I want to do in this boot camp again is that I want to make trading simple for you, right? We're looking at simplifying it. So I'm going to remove these, and I know some of you guys would have been aware that I would have had Chris over here for a week, but it was a bit difficult for me to get in location, and given that there were bank holidays around that time, and the locations were basically charging us double the price that they would usually do. So what I did was I took all the knowledge and I decided that when he leaves, I will duplicate the knowledge on trading with Coach Kier, right? So to really get the true support and resistance, right? The first thing I want everyone to do is to change their chart to a line chart, right? So I want you to change your chart to a line chart, right? So you just change it to a line chart. Now, what makes support strong is if you can also identify resistance with it, right? So if the same area is support and resistance, right, it makes it a strong area. So what you're going to do is that in drawing and recognizing support and resistance, you need to look for the highest high and the lowest low, right? So in an uptrend, for example. So everyone should be able to see that we have an uptrend happening here, right? So we have an uptrend happening here. And what we want to do is just identify the support and resistance areas, right? So I'm just going to take a horizontal line and I'm going to look for areas of reversal, right? So we can see, first of all, that this area here is a strong zone, right? And you can see how price basically with the line chart kept coming to this area and reversing, right? And the same thing here, when price was coming down, it actually tested this area as resistance, right? So we can tell straight off the bat that this is a strong support equals resistance area, right? Now, I don't want you guys to focus on the right-hand side. We're just going to focus on this uptrend here, all right? So I'm also going to put a support line down here because I had a bounce here. This looks as though it tried to break through, but it reversed. But when I look right and I continue to move right, I can see that I have another bounce here as well. So I'm going to hold that as a support area or support zone, right? Support line, right? So what I want you guys to do is just continue to draw support and resistance going all the way up the uptrend, right? So I just want you to follow me as I go through so we can see that this is resistance here. And when we look left, we can see that it's kind of in a support area as well. And with the line chart, don't try to get accurate in terms of the points of the line chart, because when you switch over to the candlestick chart, you will notice that wicks are actually touching this area. So for example, if I had to go back to candles, right? Now notice that over here, one second. Good. This was a line chart, and it wasn't actually touching the horizontal line. So pay very close attention to what I'm going to show you. Let's go back to the line chart. Now we have it here touching, we have it here and here touching for our resistance, but over here it was not touching, right? But it was very close. And more than likely, if you go to the candlestick chart, you will notice that the wicks of the candles still touch that area. So you don't have to get exact with the line chart, right? Still works really well. Now, so going back to the line chart, we're going to continue to draw our resistance lines as we come up the uptrend, right? So I'm going to take this one here. 1 second. All right, we're going to do this one because this looks like resistance and it comes down here as support, right? And continuing all the way up, we're going to have that one here, this one here, this one here as well, right? Right up to the peak before it turned around. Now that you would have basically identified support and resistance in this uptrend, right? You can then switch to the candlestick pattern chart, sorry. And notice how with the line chart, you tend to get accuracy. Now, if you guys zoom in, notice how the trade, tested every single area that I would have identified as support equals resistance, which is good because when you're looking for a breakout candle, all right, when you're looking for a breakout candle, let's go here. Right, so when you're waiting for a breakout candle, notice how we had price traps in here, and then it broke out, right? And when it broke, you still had like another 31 pips up before the sell actually took place, right? So now with trading, I want you guys to remember that you don't have to catch the big moves, right? What you want to do is actually just try to move your stop loss and profit as much as you can, right? And that's one thing that Chris taught me. I think the problem with traders is that we look for these big 100 pip and 200 pip moves, right? But really and truly, I would say, the cheat code to the market is really moving your stop loss in profit. So as soon as you're 20 pips in profit, you move your stop loss up. You can move it to entry or you can move it 5 pips in profit, right? So that as the trade goes up, your stop loss is actually moving up with it. The beauty about that is that you never lose. The whole idea is to never lose, right? No. When you've identified support and resistance, and we will start to get to things like patterns and so on going forward, right? You will notice how the market tends to respect these same areas in the future, right? So, for example, as you start to understand things like inverted head and shoulders, and you were waiting on a really good setup, right? The advanced trader, for example, would have said, okay, this is an inverted head and shoulders, right? So we got left shoulder, we have the head, and then we have a right shoulder here. So before I get into my trade, I want to wait for a breakout candle, right? And the breakout candle would be breaking out of this zone here. So you can see how this was tested as support, right? And came back and was tested as resistance. So if I want to get into this trade, I am waiting for a breakout candle. The candle must be a solid body candle and it must close. So you're not getting in the trade whilst the candle is still active, right? And I just want to stress on that. Because, for example, once this candle closed, right, the trade then continued to go for another 47 pips, right? And if you were moving your stop loss in profit maybe every 20 pips up, you could have caught a minimum of 27 pips on this trade before it turned around, right? So that's the beauty about moving your stop loss in profit. Number one, the beauty about catching a trade is being sure about it, waiting for the breakout to actually happen. A solid body candle to happen outside of that zone, right? So remember, you're boxing in price. So let me go to the chat. If you're following me, please type in the chat box following. If you're following with me, please type in the chat box following. If you're not, put 3 question marks. Good. Any questions? Any questions? Anyone wants me to go over it in, deeper detail? Shakira's lost. Anybody else lost? Okay, no problem. So let's go through it with another chart. So let's look at GA, right? Let's look at GA. And I'm using the 1 hour chart because majority of you in this on this call should be intraday traders. If you're new, you are more than likely intraday traders, and that means that you're in and out of the market within 24 hours of activating the trade. So again, 1 hour chart. So I just want to make sure everybody's following. Please take notes as I go into detail. All right. So 1 hour chart, and we want to identify a previous uptrend. So let's say that we were looking at. So I'm going to show you the area that we will be looking at. So I'm going to black it out. 1 second. All right. So we're going to be looking at from here up. Right. So we don't know what happened in the future. We're just going to use the past. Right. So the first thing we're going to do is identify an uptrend. Right. And we want to take the highest point and relatively the lowest point of that uptrend. So this should be it here. Yes, this is it. Because from here, everybody should be able to know and can see clearly that we had higher highs going up, right? And higher lows as well. So this is a clear uptrend, right? Now, what I want to do is that from here, I'm going to change the chart from a candlestick chart to a line chart, right? So we're going to go over to a line chart, right? And we're going to draw horizontal lines identifying true support and resistance. We're looking at areas of rejection where we can actually see the line chart rejecting and turning around, basically, right? So we're going to, first of all, make note of the obvious ones. So let's look for the lowest low and the highest high, right? So we can see that down here is the lowest low, right? And up here is the highest high, right? So we have our top and bottom. So from here now, we're going to actually fill in the others, right? So the first area that is obvious to me is over here. Everybody should be following me, where I can see that this is constant resistance, but then over here, it actually tested it as support, right? So this is my first horizontal line, right? And everybody should see that. If you can see what I just did, type 333 in the chat box. So I just want to make sure everybody understands why I chose that as support equals resistance. Perfect. Lovely. Excellent. So now we're going to continue. And again, try not to look too deep into detail, right? Because then you'll start to confuse yourself. Look at what is obvious. Now, for me, this was a clear, obvious resistance. And when I continue to look right, I can see it actually being tested as support. Now, when I go up further, this looks like an area of resistance because the trade actually turned around, right? And when I look right again, I can see that it's also tested as support, right? Now we're going to continue all the way up. I am going to go for this one, right? I'm using this one because this is quite close to this area. It's being touched here. And when I look right, I can also see that the market is testing here as support, right? So we're going to continue up. I'm going to take this peak here because it's being tested as support, right? And then we're going to continue all the way up, taking this area here. And guys, this is all you need to do, right? This is all you need to do. This is all you need to do. And remember, all you're doing is you're boxing in price. All right, you're just boxing in price. All right, all we're doing is boxing in price. All right, there we go. So once you have, I mean, you don't need to get every single one, but at least get the majority. So once you've done that, you're going to switch back to the candlestick chart, right? So we're going to go back to the candles and just look and see what you have identified. Make sure that the areas are actually being covered. And you should be able to also create your own type of case study where you say, okay, well, based on the line chart and the horizontal lines that I have actually put in, I can see now the market actually coming to this area and having a clean turnaround from these zones, all right? And everybody should be able to see that because we're boxing in price. Just remember that, right, guys? So let's look at it here, right? We boxed in price here, so everybody should be able to see how the trade was actually bouncing in between these two zones, right? And then we had our breakout candle, right? Now, the beauty about identifying true support and resistance is that even if you get a breakout candle, you will usually hear educators say that to wait for the retest. You can wait for the retest of the breakout area and also get him for your buy there. I see someone raise their hand. Let's look at the chat. All right, so if you have a question, just type it in the chat box and I'll be more than happy to answer. So we can see how prices bouncing in between these two zones here, and then we have the breakout candle, right? Now look at how the breakout retest happened. You had a breakout and the candle came back and retested that same zone that it broke out. So what does that tell us? That this is true support equals resistance, because it was once resistance and once it broke out, it became support, right? Now in this zone alone, right, with GA, you would have caught, well, in this zone alone, this is 30 pips. This is 30 pips, right? And again, you don't have to go for the big 150, 60 pips. You can literally secure a 30 pip trade if you twin traded it. If you call at least one of these every single day that the market is active, so 5 days a week, imagine you getting 30 pips winning for 5 days, right? And you being consistent with that. That is better than someone who has no strategy and just going into the market wild, right? So the whole idea is being consistent. You can make trading simple. Don't let anyone make you feel that trading has to be complicated. You don't need a lot of indicators on the chart. You don't need to know every single thing that is happening. You don't need to know every single strategy. You can make it simple for you, right? And this is just the basics. This is day one. This is week one of the boot camp. We haven't gone through trend lines as yet. We haven't gone through candlestick patterns as yet. We haven't gone through reversal patterns as yet. All this is us understanding the ceiling and the floor and waiting for a solid body candle to break either area. And once we have that break, this is you know analyzing how many pips you could have caught from zone to zone. Right? So we already know that this is a 30 pip move. So if you didn't actually catch it here, you could have caught it here. Right? Because it went right back here. So that was another 30 pips. Now imagine, as I said, 30 pips here, 30 pips there. This is probably within 24 hours. That's 60 pips on one trade, just trading a zone. Right? When it came here again, right, it went all the way back up. So this could have been another trade. And you may ask me, so coach, when it came down here, how would I have known to get into for my buy? If you guys pay attention to the IM educators, especially persons who trade support and resistance, or Kimberly Torres, I pushing people that you guys can relate to that. Keep it simple. Kimberly Torres, Luke, right? These guys look for rejection. So if you have a support line and you can see previously you had a lot of wicks in this area, right? And the trade is coming back to this line again, you want to see rejection. And that would allow you to gauge whether or not you want to enter for a buy, right? You want to see some wicks in this area again, right? So same thing with here. Notice that when it broke out and it came back, we had a lot of wicks in this area. The actual trade part here went sideways to give you about 5 wicks, showed a lot of rejection at this zone and went back up to our resistance. And this is just simplifying it for you guys, right? And this is what I wanted to show you guys tonight because this is powerful. And, you know, as Chris told me, you know, we make things so difficult, but then when we actually just break it down, we take out the noise, you can actually see, wait a minute, it was this simple? Yes, it was. It was this simple, right? Trading simple, support equals resistance. You could wait for a breakout candle, right? So let's look at this one here. So we had over here, everyone should be able to see that this is resistance. All right, this is resistance. So let's look at it. Let's go through it together. So trade came out here and we would have boxed the trade in, right? Now, for me to get into this trade, I would have needed a solid body candle breaking away from this zone, right? So I want to see my solid body candle breaking above my wicks, right? So we can see some wicks here. This was a false breakout, but still within our area of our wicks, right? And the trade continued to hold at this resistance, right? Now, we have this. We had what we call a flag, right? And if a beginner cannot identify where to get in here, and you was waiting on this breakout, that's okay. Let's look and see if had you entered after the breakout candle, how many pips you would have caught. So to this zone, that's 42 pips alone, right? And all you waited for there was your breakout candle. You waited for your candle, your solid body candle to break outside of that support. And as soon as you get that, you enter for your sell. That's 42 pips. So as small as that movement looks at the bottom, that's 42 pips alone. Right? So if you can see that 42 pips, just type 42 in the chat box. You don't even have to move from this time frame. And I wanted to put that there as well. You can just focus on the 1 hour time frame. For those who just want to use something as simple as this, you can choose 1 to 3 pairs, stick on the 1 hour time frame, drop your support and resistance, and just wait for breakout candle. If the candle retests, so if the candle retests and break support, what does that indicate? I am not sure the question you're asking me there, but I'm going to assume that you mean if it broke out and it came back within, so you started to lose. So let's say, for example, you guys were in this here. So let's say that you thought that this was a breakout candle right here, right? And you go in for the buy as soon as that candle closed, and you recognize that the trade actually started to sell, right? You should have a stop loss set. We will go through stop losses in the upcoming weeks. But if you lost this trade, guys, this is so simple. If you lost this trade, right, wait for confirmation again, because you can't win it all. And that's important. I need to stress that on this call. You cannot win them all. But the beauty is to have more wins than losses. And the only way you're going to have more wins than losses is if you look and see where it is you went wrong. So you need to, and I find a lot of you guys tend to do that. You're trading, and when your trade hits stop loss, you basically forget about that trade even happening, right? You probably get a little emotional and you move on. You never actually sit down and say, okay, well, let me look at the charts and see where would I have went wrong that the trade actually reversed on me. And that is key to your growth, right? Growing up, you guys know that even when we were doing homework, we were doing math and so on for homework, your parents would often tell you, go and check over your work. Trading is the same thing. All you need to do is, if you lost a trade, yes, you're going to feel bad because you've lost some money, but it would not hurt you to actually go and look at the trade and see where you have went wrong and how you could have done better. And you guys need to be able to start doing that. It would help with your growth. And I guarantee you, if you can pick out where you went wrong, the likelihood of you keep doing the same mistake all the time will end up being slim. And then guess what? You'll be able to guide someone else that you would have brought into this organization and tell them, look, don't do X because I would have done this and here was the result. So based on that mistake, I've learned to do it this way. You can actually guide someone because you would have went through it. You would have actually recognized the error that you made, and now you can help someone be profitable. Does that make sense? Entry on which chart? As I said just now, Marissa, you could use the 1 hour chart if you want, right? It's up to you. If you want to go down to the 30 minutes, so be it. But you don't have to, you do not have to make trading difficult. And that's what I'm trying to show you guys. You can literally wait on the 1 hour candle to break out. It will just take a little patience, but you will get there, right? You will get there. So let's look at this. Let's continue here, right? So trade went from here, came back up here, you know. Let's say that you weren't looking at, you know, trading this buy here because you could not identify that it would buy, right? That's fine. When it comes back down here, I want you guys to notice where you could have gotten into the trade. So you could have gone in here because you had a solid body candle actually breaking this area, especially breaking the area of the wicks. So as soon as this candle closed, you could have gone in here for yourself. All right, so you could have sold from here down to the next zone, and that would have given you about 60 pips. Let's say that you didn't get in at that breakout candle because it's still within the zone and you're unsure and you wanted to be sure, you could have waited for the next breakout candle here to close. And let's look and see. So you would have caught about 40 pips. All right, so everybody follow me. If you're following me, type following in the chat. I want to make sure everybody is getting the simplicity of support and resistance. No, it's not about how we can enter the market. No, it's not about, coach, but if I enter here, we're going to put my stop loss. Coach, you sure I should enter here? This is not about entry tonight, guys. This is breaking down the core principle of trading. That is understanding how to box in price, understanding consolidation, understanding how to identify support and resistance. This is all I want you guys to focus on. Please do not be too hasty. I know we want to make money, but let's break down support and resistance, because I guarantee if you get this right, then you can get trading right going forward. All right, so if you're following, type following in the chat. I want to make sure that everyone is following. We understand true support and resistance. Right, so don't be asking me about entries, because we're not focusing on entries. If you look at the schedule they have for the boot camp, entries are down in week 6, but I'm not saying you have to wait until week 6 to know how to enter the trade, but at least taking the knowledge that I'm giving you guys now, right? At least make notes about this, right? And this is all you need to do. Wait for the market to set up. Look here, and it gets simple. It really gets simple. This is a zone here. A lot of wicks in these areas. You got a strong body candle breaking this support area right here. And I mean, it is that simple, guys. Let me zoom in for you, right? So the market has parked. Remember, we're waiting for the market to park, right? So a lot of wicks happening in this area, and then the market came and we had a solid body candle breaking support as well as breaking our area of wicks. There and then you can look at sells, right? Now the sell down to that support was 25 pips, and as it continued to go down, it was 44 pips, right? And I hope you guys can see the simplicity here. I hope you guys can see the simplicity, right? And that's all I want you guys to do. Your homework for this week should be, okay, coach showed me how to identify true support and resistance. Let me choose 3 pairs, could be GA, GJ, USD, JPY, whatever you want. Go to the 1 hour chart, change from candles to line chart, and practice drawing your support and resistance lines, right? And then once you go back to the candlestick chart, you should be able to see how price is respecting these zones. That's all I want you to do. I don't want you to think about nothing else, entry, nothing. You're just practicing support and resistance. You're just trying to perfect that. And that's it. I'm not going to keep this call any longer, because I want that you guys use this video in the future to practice support and resistance, and to also duplicate to your teams. Right? So if you have understood support and resistance and see the benefit of just understanding this alone, type yes. Type yes in the chat box. Perfect, perfect. So before I close the call tonight, right? Before I close the call tonight, do I have any questions? Any questions about support and resistance? It's very simple, easy for you guys to actually go and duplicate, easy for you to share with your teams, for you to practice on your own. I have tried my best to break it down as simple as possible. Any questions? Thank you, Money. Perfect. Right? So if you have enjoyed tonight's call and you think that it's simple and you think that you can duplicate this, please please put dollar signs in the chat box. Dollar signs in the chat box. Let's go. Let's go. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Perfect. I can't wait to give Chris his feedback that, just breaking all things simple can really benefit everybody else, right? Simplicity, guys. So I'm going to post this video on YouTube for you to send to your teams, for you to watch. Please spend the rest of the week practicing support and resistance, right? And you guys can actually take it a step further and look for that one breakout candle. So what you're looking for is for a solid body candle to break the zones, right? And you guys can actually spend the rest of the week just practicing that alone, right? If you're going to look at trading that strategy, please trade it via demo, because today is only day one, right? So best thing to do is to practice that with demo until you get more clarity and more information as the weeks go on in this boot camp. So guys, I want to thank you so much for joining me tonight, and I'm wishing you guys a pitful week. All right, remember to tune in to Stevenson tonight. Remember to tune in to TTT. Confirming that there's a TTT tonight. I see Danny's, there's a TTT, right? Excellent. So remember to jump on to TTT tonight. Stevenson Lindor right after. Tomorrow you guys have Kimberly Torres actually trading live during 10 and 11 AST in the morning. So you guys could jump on to that, right? And guys, I want to encourage you to stay plugged into the educators, stay plugged into the energy, and I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for joining me tonight.